time, weather, and...
Hello and welcome to Driving with Todd. And I'm Todd. I remember buying the Doobie Brothers album, Toulouse Street. Now, I didn't buy it when it came out in 1972. I bought it after I bought their album, The Captain and Me, which came out in 1973. When I bought the album, I put it on and listened to music was on there. You know, it was a big hit for the Doobie Brothers in 1972. And on came the song, Jesus Is Just All Right. And it was like, wow, that's a great song. I listened to it over and over. I felt that was the best track on the album. Well, the Doobie Brothers did release that as a single in 1972, and it did fairly well on Billboard's Hot 100 Singles chart. It got to number 35. Well, at that time, I didn't think any more than the Doobie Brothers wrote that song, because at the time, most groups wrote their songs. Well, it wasn't until the 1990s when the Byrds started to release their albums on compact disc. They would remaster an album and add bonus tracks to it and release it on compact disc. And I was buying all these that I bought their album, The Ballad of Easy Rider. Now, I had never heard that album previous to them releasing it on compact disc. As I'm listening to it, on comes Jesus Is Just All Right. And I'm going, isn't that a Doobie Brothers song? How could the Byrds be doing a Doobie Brothers song when Ballad of Easy Rider came out in 1969 and the song Jesus Is Just All Right didn't come out until 1972 on the Toulouse Street album by the Doobie Brothers. But I didn't give it any further thought than that. Well, recently, I picked up a copy of Ballad of Easy Rider on reel-to-reel tape. Got it fairly reasonable in price, so I thought I'd buy it. I don't have it on reel-to-reel, and I've been buying up some reel-to-reels again. And when I got the tape, I'm looking at it to see what songs are on it, and there's Jesus Is Just All Right. It flashes back to when I bought the album in the 90s. So I put the tape on, and I love that song. That is just a great song. But then it started going through my mind as, this has got to be a cover version. It's got to be a cover version because the Doobie Brothers did it as well. And back then, I didn't really think much about cover versions. I didn't realize a lot of bands were still doing them. So I never put it into my mind. So I thought, I got to know who did this song. Who wrote this song? Well, it turns out it was written by a gentleman by the name of Art Reynolds in 1966. Art Reynolds had a group called the Art Reynold Singers. And this was written to be gospel. And it was released on their 1966 album, Telling It Like It Is. Well, I've never heard this version before, and I want to hear this version because I really like how the Byrds do it and how the Doobie Brothers do it. Now, it's been done by other artists as well, but I'm thinking the Byrds and the Doobie Brothers are probably the most famous artists to cover this song. So I thought, hey, let's listen to the Art Reynolds group do the original version of Jesus Is Just All Right, and then let's listen to the Byrds do their rendition of the song, because they were the second group to cover this song. So it was the Art Reynolds Singers did it originally, and then in 1969 it was covered by the Byrds, and then in the 70s it was covered by quite a number of different artists, including the Doobie Brothers. So here we go with the Art Reynolds Singers doing the original version of Jesus Is Just All Right. drumming in there. I love it. It's like that drum is just heavily mic'd on this song and then mixed way up front on the song itself. I love that drum and that piano. Then when the piano comes in, it's like, this is a rocker. This is a gospel rocker. Just really great instrumentation. Good heavy bass guitar in there too. And then the singers come in and they do the do 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 do. Great, just great. And then they start singing the Jesus Is Just All Right. I love this. This is just a fantastic version of this song. And it's the original version. How cool is that? Let's keep on going. Oh, that was excellent for a 2-minute song. Wow, that was very cool. They packed a lot of punch into that song. I really like that. I thought that was a very kind of a heavy rocker. I mean, you got that piano in there, and that was just driving. And then the drum, there are a lot of drum fills in there too that were really, really nice. And like I said, I think they really mic'd that drum up so to really enforce the message of the song. Loved it. And the female vocalists were great. Were just great. And I like it that, they're singing the song. They do that do 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 do, and they come in with the Jesus Is Just All Right. Just really marvelous. And it's almost like a choir singing. And that's what's kind of cool about it too, is it's kind of a rock band playing to a choir and the choir singing the lyrics of the song. Excellent. I've never heard this before, but this is really, really good. And I can see, and when we play the Byrds version, which is going to be next, where the Byrds kind of took what the Art Reynolds Singers did and took it to the next level. And then, of course, there's very, very many different covers after that. But I think the Byrds really set the standard from the Art Reynolds Singers version. So here we go with the Byrds doing their interpretation of Jesus Is Just All Right. Okay, little bit different, a little bit different. They did it in the Byrd style. They still started out with, excuse me, they still started out with that heavy drumming, and that heavy drumming is throughout. It's not quite as much in your face as the Art Reynolds Singers version, but it's still there. And then they got that heavy tambourine in there as well. But then the guitars come in, and the guitars replaced the piano that the Art Reynolds Singers version had, that real heavy piano. Well, they swapped out that piano for their jangly guitars, which I think is really cool. And then when they get done with a verse, then they get that kind of almost country rock type sounding guitar in there. And then their harmonies, the Byrds have great harmonies. And so their harmony is very much like the sound of the choir or the female vocalist in the Art Reynolds. So we've got the female vocalist in Art Reynolds. In the Byrds version, it's male vocals, but it's still done as harmony. Very cool. And this rocks out a little bit more than the Art Reynolds, even though I thought the Art Reynolds version rocked pretty hard, especially with that drum. Oh, the other thing too is if you listen to the bass in the Byrds, the bass guitar in the Byrds, very similar to what's in the Art Reynolds version. So let's keep on going. Oh, nice. I just love that version. And like I say, when I heard it in the 90s on the CD of Ballad of Easy Rider, it was like, wow, that is really, really good. And the difference again, the Byrds have kind of a country rock sound to them. Like this picture is kind of older Byrds. This Ballad of Easy Rider was recorded in '69 and released in 1969. So David Crosby wasn't with the group anymore. Clarence White was in the group. Roger McGuinn was in there. Gene Parsons was in there. So it was a little different group than what's in the picture here on the YouTube video. But besides that, they have that country flavor. So not only is it giving it a rock sound, but it's got that kind of country sound to it. Even the way they were harmonizing with their vocals, they're giving a little bit of a country twang. And that guitar in there, like I said, that guitar, the lead guitar, was giving it kind of a country sound as well. So they kind of mixed up a rock sound, a gospel sound, and a little bit of country in there as well. So the Byrds, great version of this song. And then what I read was Gene Parsons, the drummer for the Byrds at the time, had heard this song by the Art Reynolds Singers, and he really liked it, so he convinced the groups to do it live. And they were doing it live for quite a while in their live sets before they actually recorded it for this album. And then Terry Melcher, I think that was the producer for this album, he had them change it up from the live version. The live version had quite a long instrumental introduction to it, and they cut that all out and tried to keep it more towards the Art Reynolds Singers version. So there's a little bit of history of that song. Just love it. And it's one of those songs that is so good, it doesn't matter who does it. It's just a great song. And I think that's what's really neat about some of the songs that are covered quite a bit, is they're really written really well. And this song was really written very well. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the comparison between the original version of Jesus Is Just All Right by the Art Reynolds Singers to the next version that was actually recorded of the song, the next cover version, which was the Byrds in 1969. And as the reason I didn't cover the Doobie Brothers version is I'm assuming everybody's heard that version, where I'm not sure how many people actually have heard the Byrds version of Jesus Is Just All Right, which I think kind of set the tone for all other versions that were recorded after. So if you enjoyed this, please hit that like button. I'd really appreciate that. If you have any comments about the Art Reynolds Singers or the Byrds doing Jesus Is Just All Right, put in the comments below. That'd be really appreciated also. Now, I'm going to take a link to both videos that I played and put it into my description below. So if you want to watch them and hear the songs again, hit the link. They'll open up and they'll play for you. I'm also going to put a link to the channels that uploaded these videos. So you might want to check out those channels. They may have other cool videos you want to watch. Now, have you subscribed to Driving with Todd? If you haven't, why don't you do it right now? You got my video open. Go below the video and hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. And you'd be hearing some really cool music as we move forward. If you go over here, ring the bell, you'll get updates to my latest videos. So, like I said, when I got this in the mail the other day and put it on and played it, it's like, I wonder who actually wrote this song. When I found out, it's like, I got to do a comparison. And it was good. I really enjoyed the Art Reynolds Singers version of the song. Just very, very neat. And of course, the Byrds, fantastic. Put a huge smile on my face. I'm hoping to put a huge smile on your face. And peace out, baby.